I was reading a book today called Robinson Crusoe. A lot of people have different opinions about it. Um, it's, I think it's considered uh, classical literature or whatever. And one of the things that the main character says in the book is it's in one of the earlier chapters, probably like chapter 6 or so. He he's making he's going he's basically having a pity party, and he's going down all this stuff, and then he makes a surprising comment. He said, what are the chances that the boat crashed so near the shore that or was drifted in by the water to the shore? I forget how he says it, but basically to where I would be able to get the supplies out. And also, there were 11 of us that got on. It's a dinghy, but I don't know what it's called in the book. I forget. Basically, those little boats that you keep on the bigger ships to get away. I'm sorry that I can't remember any of these terms. Um, and he said there were 11 of us that got on that to escape from the ship as it was going down. I'm the only one here. So instead of looking at the bad side of what was happening to him, focusing on the good side, and I've had a bit of a rough time the past couple weeks. I to be honest, I really didn't think I was going to make it this long. Um, it, just a really hard time, and one of the things that so interests me about that comment made in that book is I've talked a lot about finding the good in the bad situation stuff, but this is like finding the flip side of the bad situation. So, okay, well, this person left me and they abandoned me. I could have become that kind of a person that just throws people away. And they have to live with that, and I don't have to live with the guilty conscience. That's comforting. It really is. I've lived a life that isn't perfect, but I've done things that I I'm proud I did the right thing in these different situations. Oh well, I have this job that I hate. Well, I have a job. I I have a job. Yeah, there's so many people who have lost their jobs in the middle of this. Um, I here's another good example. What are the odds? What are the chances that right when I'm able to sell my house, the market goes really really high and my house sells for a really good amount, to where I was able to buy myself a bike, actually two bikes. Well, technically three bikes. It's a long story. It's a long story. But anyways, moral of the story being, I was able to buy myself a bike, and it's something I've always wanted. Not a Walmart bike, an actual bike. A good quality bike. It's a Trek. It's exciting for me. I've always loved the Trek brand. I love what they stand for. I love their bikes. I love everything about Treks. It's just wonderful. And I was able to get that, and it just so happened that I was able to get it right at the time that all this nonsense is going on, and it just so happens that biking is something that really helps me clear my head. Um, Helps me, obviously, I exercise, duh, but it helps me to just kind of take all that frustration and just get rid of it. And after a bike ride, I just feel so, you know what I mean? Maybe you have something in your life that makes you feel the same way. Maybe it's drawing or whatever. And then I have all these wonderful books that I have to read, and what a time to have books and to love reading. And my point being, I have all these things that really help me to cope and help me to keep on target and stuff. And I mean, what are the odds that all this just perfectly fits into place? And yeah, there's some bad things that happen, but on the flip side of that, there's a good side of that too. So just like in the story, yeah, he did shipwreck, and everyone else is dead, and he's all alone. But he made it, and then yeah, he did shipwreck, but he was able to scavenge from the ship. See what I mean? There's these bad situations, but even in the worst of situations, there's a flip side of that. And the problem is that sometimes we don't try to look for the flip side. And I want to give you a little bit of a challenge. Okay, maybe you're like me. Maybe you're having a little bit of a rough couple weeks, couple days, year, whatever. I want to just challenge you to take a little bit of time, and in all the different situations that are bothering you, maybe it's not really a situation. Maybe it's just how you feel. Maybe it's, there's nothing really to justify your feelings. You just feel off. And I'm not condemning you. I get that. Happens to me all the time. But instead of that, I wonder if we could find the flip side of that bad coin. Like, I'll give you a good example. Oh, 2020 sucked. It was a terrible year, all these different things. But, 2020 did bring a lot of good, too. I'll give you a few examples. 2020 enabled my house to sell. And this was a house that I've tried multiple times to sell it. I mean, it just wasn't going to happen. I was always stuck because I wasn't making anything off of it. But trying to rent a house to people who could afford it, and yeah, I could have made more off of it, but I was trying to help people. But as a result, I didn't have the money that I needed. And so I really wasn't making anything. I was just barely getting by. And I didn't lose the house. And I remember thinking, oh man, maybe I should just give the house back to the bank. But through all those things, as much as, always such a pain in the butt, I never lost the house. That right there is amazing. But then all these things just fit into place where I was able to sell not this year, this is 2021. Last year, 2020. And man, just the flip side of that, you know what I mean? Some other good things that happened from 2020. There was some situations that I was getting into that I didn't know how they were going to play out. And although, yes, it bothers me that it's so easy for people to betray me and to leave me and just completely throw me away, that does bother me. But it makes me feel good that I did the right thing. And even when they did the wrong thing, I still did the right thing. And so I got to see who I am as a person. It's easy to say who you are, but when the rubber meets the road, you get to actually see who you really are. And I'm not to say this the wrong way, but I did the right thing, and I feel really good about that. I feel really good about that. Maybe you haven't done the right thing in the past. There more opportunities will come. Don't stress too much about it. Some more good things that happened about 2020. I told you I was able to get the bike that I wanted. It just so happened. I mean, the bike shortage is everywhere, and nobody has bikes. And I was able to find a bike that I wanted. Oh, it was just everything just so fit into place. It just here's another good example. There was a job that I really really wanted, and I ended up not getting it. I don't really want to get into it, but I ended up getting a job that I hated. But because of the job, taking the job that I hated, it put me in a place here that I hated once again. But it actually turns out it's a better place for biking. Just one of those things, I guess. And then another thing is, I would have lost my job if I had taken that other job. But instead, because I moved down here and took this other job, I didn't lose my job. And I mean, what are the chances of that? You know what I mean? All these different things, all these different people who betrayed me. It could have happened at such worse times. I mean, one couple that betrayed me and then left me. They enabled me to do something that I never would have been able to do before. And sometimes we focus all on the bad. Oh, they betrayed me. Yeah, but it wasn't all bad. It wasn't all bad. And remember the good things too, and be thankful for those things. There'll always be a flip side. But with that being said, there's also a flip side to good things. Sometimes you're going to not be able to focus on the good things that are happening just because you're too focused on the bad part of the good things. And so I hope that this is encouraging for somebody. So I just want to challenge you, try and find the flip side